Alright, hey guys. I am making this video because I've been thinking about this idea of centrism over the past few hours here, and the concept of what a centrist is and what centrism means. And I think something that might have primed me for thinking about this whole idea is I have some friends and acquaintances, and some of them are on the left, and some of them firmly identify with the right. So sometimes when I'm in conversation with these people, when the topic of politics in general arises, often you're forced to take a stance on an issue. And in a certain political landscape, like the modern political landscape, that stance is often just reduced to a binary, like a red or blue, a zero or a one, a right or wrong stance, basically. And that is how many people and a lot of us perceive the world of ideas, especially political ideas and the realm of political discourse. And then we have this idea of a centrist. And I think centrists get rightfully criticized for having the quality of wanting to basically not take a stance on an issue and tiptoe around the middle and kind of be in the mean of everything and always want to see both sides of every single issue. And there is some degree of like understanding you can have for that mindset, but like the idea of a centrist who is just aiming to be as neutral as possible on every single topic, I don't think that is a useful position to hold, or at least if you want to have anything useful to say when you're talking about these things. But the thing that I was thinking about, and the thing that I think a lot of people misapprehend, is the concept of a person who can fully recognize the value and utility of political labels and political groups, especially for the sake of a government system, a republic, a democracy, however you want to describe what we have in the West or in America specifically. Those labels and these groupings are useful and they are necessary in order for us to make any decisions of any substance whatsoever using our government. But I think a problem is that phenomenon, that sort of tribal mentality that our political minds are geared around, that seeps into literally everything else, like literally everything else in your life, as well as institutions that you're within. It can seep into family structures and divide people that way. And I think what someone has to do, I think what we all have to do, or at least understand is possible, is that we have the ability to step outside of these binary labelings when we're not directly involved with making a political decision or casting a vote necessarily. And we can look at the landscape of ideas and we can pick these things out individually, and you can have a firm stance on it, but it doesn't have to adhere to a partisan line. You don't have to adhere to a set of beliefs that further a necessary political cause. You can have ideologies if you want. You can have systems of beliefs. You can have religions that encapsulate a lot of these things. But rarely is it actually a binary, and rarely is reality expressed as a binary. So it doesn't make sense for us to be using this red blue system of classification for everything that we see in the world and as a lens for all of our engagement with the world. As a matter of fact, it's dangerous and it makes people more inclined towards this isolation, this social isolation, and this combativeness when it comes to the realm of ideas. Because when you start talking about something and as soon as you apply that lens, that political binary lens, and you associate a person with an idea and therefore an entire set of ideas or a party, and then you extrapolate all of your opinions about them from that assumption, that's when the dangerous games are played. But we're seeing a lot of it. And as a matter of fact, it's becoming almost the norm. It feels like it's becoming the norm for us to be seeing reality in this way. But this video is just a reminder that we don't have to be using that lens. And we don't have to be buying into this idea of a centrist who is perfectly neutral on all topics. We don't have to be buying into this idea of labeling at all when we are looking at ourselves and how we should be approaching these concepts and these arguments and these ideas. You're not forced to take a stance on an issue until you feel like you have a stance on the issue. And you don't have to adhere to a party line stance on other issues because you took a particular stance on one issue. And that's the mentality that this political mindset promulgates. I don't believe that's a good thing. So again, this is just a reminder. Step outside of that framework, step outside of that boundary that we have set up. And for the love of God, don't let politics ruin personal relationships. I see that happen all the time around me, and it's crazy. Sometimes it's unavoidable, but just at the end of the day, remember that, like we said, reality isn't reflected that way. Reality isn't reflected as a binary, and you can't categorize your entire life as zeros and ones.